has to say about all these weird occult happenings.
Now, you have a concern, I know, that all of this is affecting our youth, and I wanted to know, do you feel that there are a lot of children that are being influenced by the cartoons they watch?
Oh, yes. Take, for instance, a cartoon like He-Man and Masters of the Universe. It can be seen as many as 31 times a week in an area, with a viewing audience as much as 16 million children each time it's aired. And so we're seeing a vast effect on the whole United States and other countries around the world through these cartoons and toys.
Millions of children now watching occultic cartoons and then going out and buying occultic toys. Now,
wow, he takes a shot at He-Man right away, Brendan. What do you think?
Well, that kind of pisses me off. But you know what? Maybe my mom saw this because when we moved from New York to Ohio, I had every He-Man toy imaginable. And they mysteriously, she said, got lost in the move. So maybe she watched the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah, that's God's will, apparently.
Yeah.
He might have, coming in hot on He-Man off the bat, which, I mean, if you've seen He-Man, there is some fucked up stuff in He-Man. But Brendan, would you say that you felt any closer to Satan? Did you watch He-Man 31 times a week? I'm like, holy shit, what market were you in?
I don't think I watched it 31 times a week, but I do clearly remember that Pee-wee's Playhouse aired right afterwards. So it was really fucked up shows back to back.
Yeah, and
That's
he wasn't counting, so I agree. Satan is sneaky, and it clearly children aren't going to count.
Yeah, but let's leave Pee-wee out of this.
Well, He-Man never, got caught in a movie theater with his pants down. So
all right, enough.
So he was good at it.
So they end up sticking with they're basically having a viewing party of 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which kind of wish we could watch. But let's hear them react to another clip from 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
I can hardly believe what I'm seeing here. Now, we're looking at occultic things. We're seeing things like the chest of demons and witches and Stonehenge and occultic spell 13. I mean, we're talking about satanic things here. Now, Phil, it's becoming obvious to me what's going on, and I wonder, how did you get started in exploring all of this? I mean, how did you get into analyzing the toy industry?
Oh, well, we're going to get to that, but I caught a little, and you guys did too. There was a little funny little clip there. Let's play the first of spoilers, many soundboard clips that we're going to hear tonight. So let's hear the first one.
Stonehenge, and
he must have been playing Minecraft or something.
So that's a really picayune one, but I got a plan for all these. But now let's get back to Phil. And like any superhero, he has a fantastic origin story.
Well, it was very unusual. I was in the process of going on the mission field and working my way through that and speaking in different churches. The Lord directed me to go on a 14-day fast. And during this fast, I did something very unusual. I walked into a toy store. And when I walked into the toy store, I was faced with a toy holding an occult symbol in its hand. And this got my curiosity up, so I purchased the toy. And I read the comic book that was with it, and it was occultic practices within the comic book. So I talked about it in the church I was in that night, but I didn't think much of it. I threw it in the back seat of my car. About 3 days later, I was driving home from these series of services, and the Lord spoke to me about what happens when a child plays with a toy and how they project themselves with their imagination into a toy, and they give it life, character, abilities, talents, and they set the surrounding around the toy.
Now, wait a minute. Now,
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah,
So-
that's kind of crazy.
So let's break this down a little bit. Guy's on a 14-day fast. Wanders into a toy store, buys a toy because he thinks it's satanic, and then throws it in the back of his car. And I'm just going to stop there. Like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah, already sleep deprivation is going to make you do crazy things, and he can't.
Food deprivation.
Sure, yeah, I'm thinking like that alone, but like, yeah, you can't go. All right, so I don't know what else he was doing then, but yeah, your brain's not functioning right at that point. Like, really, you're going to be going crazy. You're going to be hallucinating and getting these weird ideas in your head.
And so, that plays into what else happens next. So he says he just throws the toy in the back of his car, and then God speaks to him, and God explains to him, only to him, how kids can put characteristics into a toy, and they project themselves onto the toy. I had lots of toys as kids. What he explained, it made no fucking sense. I was like, no, I've never done that once. I don't know.
I never played with toys ever.
But I did, but I didn't do what he's doing. Where I don't know. Let's hear more though. But this time, Phil, why don't you say it for the people in the back of the room?
You're saying a child actually projects himself into the toy. Can you say that again? Because I think that's a real key here, that the cartoons have this kind of effect upon the child and even the toys.
Yeah, the toy is a lifeless hunk of plastic, and it only comes to life with that projection of the imagination into a toy.
Yeah.
And they give it life, character, abilities, talents, and set the surroundings around the toy.
So the child vicariously lives through that toy.
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord told me that children were being affected by these things, and that I was to do something about it, which proceeded in me studying this material over 2.5 years ago.
Well,
I don't know about the whole projecting yourself on the toy. I mean, I know God told you that, but go on.
I don't know. He might be onto something. I mean, they made a movie called Child's Play.
But those were supposed to be individual toys that had their own.
Pixar made a whole slew of movies called Toy Story.
Right.
And Zach Baggins is buying a bunch of haunted toys too, so.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I totally get what you're coming from, Shay, but here's the difference was when that guy said that the child's projecting their own stuff into it. I've heard so many stories of kids describing things like backstories about a toy where they would never have had the knowledge of like, oh, well, this guy has lost a wife and blah, 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 and this kid's like 1 year old. But I also don't agree with this person, how they think that it's automatically, if any kid plays with any toy, you're automatically projecting your shit onto it. Like, of course, you're going to be playing with it like, oh, I want this green block to go here. But they do stop being that. As soon as the kid is done with playing with the toy, like, you're done.
I don't know.
That's what projection in that kind of vein is what human beings do.
Yeah,
like,
it's play.
We create stories. We fill in gaps. Like if you just see a thing that looks like a human being, you're like, oh, what's this thing's like? If you're gonna play with it, like, what's the story? What's it gonna do? Who's it gonna fuck up?
You think about it, but you don't make it true. You're not like, oh, this is definitely gonna happen now.
It would be an awesome twist.
Yeah, there's no projection.
It would be an awesome twist at the end of...
projection is the thing that's missing,
At the end of Toy Story, if they're all possessed by Satan, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a great twist.
No, it wouldn't.
See,
That
that
would be
I
way
would
better.
go and watch. I would watch that movie. That sounds a lot more interesting.
Soon.
So this guy, that's the only real backstory he gives on himself. Man, he's trying to hide something. But so I had to go deep. I have the book. We'll talk about this book. It's called Turmoil in the Toybox, and this is what launched him being on this show to begin with. And he toured around and gave lectures. And I want to read a little bit when he is talking about getting this presentation together. He said, I began speaking on the subject and showing the slide presentation throughout the country. During this time, my parents were concerned about me because I had sold my car and was living on practically nothing. The expenses from buying projectors and other equipment exceeded the amount I received from supporters. Therefore, most of the money used to pay for the ministry came from previous work that I had done, loans from my brother, the sale of my car, and many miraculous happenings. And then he starts talking about him having to hire a photographer for his slideshow, and even the slideshow, the photos still look shitty. But he says, unusual things happened during the time he was setting up to shoot the photographs for me, like blown fuses and problems with the camera equipment. Things that never had happened before. When we realized what was happening, he called my parents and told them. After praying with them, he went back to work without any problems. It was apparent to us that Satan was trying to keep this ministry from being launched. So he's a soldier. He's going to tell us he's a soldier for this. And once God tells you, you picked up a Satan toy. That's it. Like, this is a man on a mission. And he wants to spread this word. This is his calling. Toys are this man's calling. Not in the cool way, though.
No, not at all. I mean, good for him. Honestly, good for him. He's found something that he can rally up. But no, I'm pretty sure it's all bought and paid for. This doesn't make any sense.
Well,
with
Brendan,
all that money, with all that money he spent, or with all the money he doesn't have. He still spent money on the Satanic toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
Supporting
exactly.
satanic toy industry.
Exactly.
Oh, these guys, you're going to hear coming up. These guys seem to be a huge supporter of the toy business. We're going to get into it. But, Brendan, unfortunately, they hinted at it earlier. But here we go with them discussing He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Well, there's a cartoon called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe really broke the ground on this cartoon occultism. In fact, it set so many records. It was turned down by all three major networks, by the way. It was the first cartoon to go through independent TV stations as a first-run cartoon, and it covers 95% of America.
So you're saying He-Man was like an occultic forerunner to really blast this into the public's eye.
Oh, yeah. The cartoon people have no problem getting another one through. They say, well, it's just like He-Man. But He-Man was such a tremendous success. In fact, it got as much as a 22-point Nielsen rating in many areas when it was shown. And that's market control, as you know.
Well, I think what we should do is let's watch on the screen right now and see an opening to a He-Man series and see some of the occultic overtones as we begin this. We're going to play a little segment here showing the transformation of He-Man.
I didn't know He-Man was like the indie darling of the cartoon world. It just didn't.
No,
Yeah, that is
me
interesting.
It
also,
is
I
interesting.
I really wish you would stop saying the word occultic. It sounds
Oh.
really, really weird, and it sounds like Celtic, and it's bothering me.
Pretty much anything Phil Phillips says sounds weird. He's got if
Like
we
his own name.
if we were on
Yeah.
our strange mouth sounds kick again, he would like have the gold medal because he constantly talked like this. But don't worry,
Oh,
we will
No,
always.
I
hold
am
him.
very worried.
No, we're gonna have him on the soundboard for years to come. And
No.
I still remembered it, and
Hey,
I went
don't
back
want
out to the barn.
No.
oh no!
That's what I was going to say. Bring him back into the mix.
I
don't-
Not Dave.
I don't think he ever left. But do you guys want to hear the transformation of He-Man?
Yes.
Yes, I
course.
guess
Of
so.
course.
Sure, let's go.
No. Well, just like Phil Phillips and Gary Greenwald, here we go.
Power of Grayskull.
He-Man. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I was moving along.
Yes.
Sorry.
That
Hey,
was
kind of get
amazing.
you pumped up, but we all love the He-Man intro, right, guys?
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
A lot
Well,
more
what-
roars than I remember.
I know.
I have the power.
Oh my god, that echo was so majestic.
So let's hear their reaction to the intro to He-Man.
Well, now, Phil, here we're seeing a transformation of He-Man from a wimp, like a Clark Kent type of character, to the He-Man, and he says something like the power of Grayskull. Is that correct?
Yes, what you just seen is He-Man being transformed. In fact, his name is Adam.
Yeah.
First man.
Interesting.
Until he's transformed,
Adam.
and then he becomes He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, by lifting his sword in the air and yelling by the power of Grayskull. Now, to understand this, we have to understand what Grayskull is. It is a castle built by unknown hands in the shape of the skull, and there's a demon spirit living within it that manifests in the shape of a skull. And so our good character is empowered by occultic demon spirits.
You're kidding me. So all of this is coming forth, and the children, whether consciously or subconsciously, are picking up all these occultic overtones.
Oh, very much so.
All right, first off,
Oh, very much
Prince,
so.
Prince Adam was still really buff. He could have
Yeah.
He was
I mean,
ripped,
Prince
dude.
Adam on his own could handle some shit.
Yeah, he
Let's
was
be
kind of a
real.
nerd.
You mean
I'm
that
not gonna
Clark
call him-
Kent looking motherfucker?
He was
No,
He-Man with
he
a
was-
shirt.
He was still super jacked. All right, he's not a wimp. He's just a nerd. There's a difference.
Yeah. I mean, well, you guys saw that video, right? That music video that he made?
Love it.
Yes.
That's the best. Yeah, with
Put that in,
Four
put that
Not
in right here. Yeah.
No.
Please.
So, are these guys, are they just putting this stuff out there without any evidence? They maybe are, maybe they are, but no, they're not. let's hear some first-hand